Welcome to Slick's Motorcycle Show. Today we're going to talk about the best pit bike, mini bike, pit bike. We're also going to talk about our current dream bikes, which some are more obtainable than others. So, first though, we're going to talk about Brady. You've been riding lately? Have you been
I
doing
haven't.
any bike maintenance?
Haven't been riding lately, not too much, because it's summertime. It's hot.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm a bigger guy. I get too hot, too sweaty out there.
Sweating.
Like July, August, kind of try to not ride as much, but doing some stuff. I just finished up my dual sport build for my 500.
Yeah.
That snowballed a lot.
So you got that, and you got the. Is yours a 21 or
21?
21 KTM 300. You just did an oil change on that, I hear.
Yeah. So when I got my new plug-in.
Yeah.
Tip it down inside.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Plug
For the filler.
You have to take your
for the
skid
filler.
back.
Yeah. That's
It's sweet.
Yeah.
Tip it back up. Oil drains out, and I'm like, okay. Grab my oil. I was 100% positive that I bought oil. I'm like, start moving everything around. Like, no oil.
so.
Brand new bike sitting on the stand. No oil in the motor.
So you didn't ride it though.
No.
Okay.
I got a piece of tape on the handlebars to remind me. That's
Okay.
the tip.
That's
Leave
good too.
your notes on your handlebars.
Yeah, that's a good
if
one.
you need oil or if your chain's off or adjust chain or whatever.
Or yeah, no air filter. I've done that
Yeah.
before. Ran real lean.
Yeah, I went to
Okay.
Walker one day with the plug, my air filter cover.
Oh
On the bike.
shit.
Didn't
Oh.
put.
Bad language. Yeah. Shoot.
Shoot dang.
Shoot dang. Yeah. That's you can't
That's
do
not
that.
good.
Have you ever got to the trail and fired up the bike with your wash plug in the exhaust? Or tried to?
100 times.
Yeah.
Who hasn't done that?
Yeah, I know. I got a big zip tied rag that hangs off the back of it so I don't
Yeah.
forget.
People say they don't do that. They're liars.
Full lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's
My
a
bike runs great all the time, starting into the parking lot. Brr, brr, brr. Won't run.
What have you been up to?
Nothing. I've got my build going, so I got an 07 Sierra 125, and I feel like Works Connection keeps milking me for all sorts of money. I don't know. I keep on buying $30 reservoir, the master cylinder reservoir caps and anodized crap that does nothing for the bike.
Looks good though.
It looks good, but yeah, I got to start riding more. I plan on going down to the 125 Dream Race down at Washougal here at the end of the month, but I just got to start riding now. I just keep on buying bikes. I just bought one last night.
Yeah,
I've got 10.
one last night.
I've got
you have 10 now?
10 bikes.
Here?
Well, 9 here. I had to start
Oh,
storage at offsite.
Yeah, offsite storage. Yeah, I'm doing that too.
I did a little count this morning. Out of the 10, 7 of them were Hondas.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
You got a lot of Hondas. Honda guy.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other rides coming up, or anything you got planned? You gonna ride this week?
This week? It's gonna be tough with work, but
So,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
That's a big negative.
I need to though. I got a brand new bike. Why am I not riding it?
I don't know. Okay.
Brand new.
Well, I want to show you some new stuff that's coming out this year.
Okay.
So we got some new bikes, and to kind of get your opinion on it. This first one, and I've got my opinion on Ducatis, but this first one is called the Concept. It's a concept bike, so it's the Ducati Desert X.
What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like they've been trying to make these things for a while. Some people, how many of these can you sell? I mean, where are you riding this bike? You're not riding into the trails, right?
No.
Paris-Dakar, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't even know if that's still a race
It
anymore.
looks too fancy though for Dakar. Like you,
Yeah, that
you
bike
wouldn't
is-
want to actually take it out
that
and
bike
crash
is-
it.
That bike is probably going to be like close to 30 grand.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
I
They're
mean,
probably super cheap.
I gotta admit, I think it looks cool. I mean, the LED. I don't know if it'll ever come to fruition. It's got that, the big single-sided shock where you can get everything stuck in there. I don't know how practical this is, but I don't know practicalities. Yeah, it
Looks
says
good, though.
it says it's going to be 465 pounds. Oh no, it's going to be right around the current Scrambler is 465, so it's going to be about 420 pounds.
That's about the same weight as your 450.
450, yeah.
right?
I had a CRF 450X, and we joked how it's every bike that we show on here, that 450 is going to be heavier than that. So it's got 8.3 inches of suspension travel. Doesn't seem like it puts notes in there like carbon fiber skid plate, and dirt oriented 21-inch front and 18-inch rear wheel.
Dirt oriented.
I mean,
So it can go in the dirt.
yeah, the guy that's going to buy this bike, and this is no offense, that has everything imaginable, and he wants to be different than the guy with the. He's going to say his bike is better and more dirt oriented than one of those BMW 1250 GS, the GS 1250s. So, and might be right, but
That thing.
you can't take it on the trails because if you hit a tree, you totaled. I don't know.
No.
Anyway.
Does it have a dry clutch?
That'd be cool. Just clacking down the trails.
Yeah. Their street bikes had that.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of their street bikes do. I think these type of bikes. I mean, they make a whole series of these, and I don't know if they do. Anyway, I think it's cool. How practical? I don't know.
Not very.
Yeah. So Kawasaki.
That's a 22.
That's 2022.
It looks like 1970s.
Kawasaki's made these kind of retro Eddie Lawson KZ 900s and 750s and all these replica bikes for every couple of years. I feel like they re-release these. Sales dwindle on the previous one and then they go away and then they release this new one. How many more 55 and 60-year-old men even remember, even remember who this guy is or this retro era of bikes? It doesn't make sense to me to keep on.
It's like the Honda's little monkey bike that they released that new, but it's supposed to look old.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't know. So it's obviously fuel injected, just over 900 cc's. It's got it's $12,000 too. I mean,
Really?
I mean, granted, that's kind of the ballpark for street bikes these days, but it's not my cup of tea. I'm sure it's somebody's cup of tea, but I feel like Kawasaki, I feel bad for the dealerships that are going to get stuck with a couple of these that have to sell.
Yeah,
they're going to be sitting on the showroom. They're going to get 3 of them sitting on the showroom for a couple of years and then have to discount them to sell them.
Probably.
So, but it's probably a good running bike.
Yeah. What is that thing? What is that?
So they have this goes back to the Ducati Desert X. These are guys who are going to be buying these bikes. This is supposed to be coming out, compete with the BMW 1200. It's that adventure touring. I admit, these sitting upright bikes, a lot of power, very comfortable bikes. But just make it so it's a street bike, for God's sakes. I mean,
Yeah, that one's really, really flip-flop.
Yeah, you can take it maybe on a fire road or something like that. But so it's going to say that it's going to put out what they're expecting is probably similar to the current 3-cylinder engine. Puts out 140, close to 140 horsepower. It's supposed to be coming out at the end of this year. But this is the same thing. Prices expect to be about $19,000, $20,000 for this thing. And
what do you do with it?
You ride it back and forth to your corporate job, I think. I mean, which I had that I had a BMW 1200 or GS 1200. I was kind of I always kind of poo-pooed it. Great power, fun bike to ride.
You said, I remember you telling me how comfortable it was.
It's very comfortable.
Like you're on a
very
big
comfortable.
bike.
Yeah, very comfortable because
bike.
it's that sit-up position.
Yeah.
This is something that you could probably ride across the country, hit a couple of fire roads and everything else on. But let's just call it what it is. I mean, it is. We call it an adventure tour bike. It's a street bike.
Yeah.
With a little bit, and I don't even a little higher ground clearance, but I don't think it has a tremendous amount of suspension travel. So, but we'll see how it comes out. Yeah. So, Hey, this is brand new for 2022. It's actually not. It's just they say they've got updated Explorer forks, another dual sport. I give Brady a hard time. This is KTM 500. He's dual sport guy. It's got updated Explorer forks, so different valving. Basically bold new graphics, cleaning up a couple little things. Also priced from
bold.
What's that?
Very bold.
Very, very bold. So it's got the black frame this year, right?
Yeah.
That's 11,000 retails, $11,800. That's all. It's a cool bike, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Very.
I like mine.
This is kind of opposite of what the last bike was. This is probably a lot more capable off road. You do not want to take this one across the country. You rode yours.
I've ridden mine across this great state of Washington a lot.
Have you?
I went up.
You got a different seat and everything on that thing?
No, stock seat. I should have a Moto Concept seat. The wider one.
Yeah. Moto Concepts, they make great stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I've taken it almost. Anywhere you want to go.
So,
took it to
what
Colorado.
do you think the next step for this 500? They can't just keep on regurgitating the same thing for the next. When did they release the 500 in this kind of format?
The EXCs was the 350 and the 500 in 2013, I believe.
Okay.
And then that was it. It was just the 350.
So we're coming up to 10 years.
They're getting close. Yeah.
So we'll see if they're fuel injected, right? They're all. So they're bulletproof bikes.
Yeah.
How much maintenance have you done on yours besides oil changes?
Honestly, not that much.
Yeah.
I checked my valves after 10 hours, and I haven't checked them since, and the bike has 295 hours on it. It almost has 10,000 miles on the odometer. Oil change, air filter.
You just went through it, though, too.
Yeah, and I did, but I should have done the valves when I had it all. But I wanted to ride it this summer, so
Who needs to do that?
Save it for the winter when it's all raining up here.
Yeah, cool bikes. Actually, out of all the dual sports, that are probably capable of going, to Portland and back, or a couple 100-mile trip.
Yeah.
You compare this. KLR 650s. I think they're getting up near the $8-9 grand range now. This bike is just so much more capable. They might even be more than that. This bike is so much more capable than one of those.
Oh yeah, and then it's a dirt bike. Take it to the track, take it to
but it's still
go ride trails,
yeah.
And then you can go down the highway doing 70.
Yeah.
And
still 12 grand though. Which brings me to the next bike.
I remember paying that price.
This I want to put on here. This is the SSR. So SSR, they were making pit bikes at the beginning, and they're slowly. There's a couple of YouTube guys that are actually building these things up. Their 250s are fully capable bikes. This is a dual sport as well. I guess we're kind of on a dual sport theme here today.
Yeah.
But this bike, great beginner bike. The Yamaha TW 250 or those entry level bikes, the Honda CRF, which are $5 grand, $6 grand. This thing retails for less than $3,500.
Really?
Yeah. So it looks like a little Yamaha motor. It's got dual sport, or not really. It looks more supermoto than that. But
yeah, it does kind of
if you're gonna get, instead of spending the $6 grand or whatever else on a Honda, to see if you even like it, especially in Washington State where you can't ride year round, that might be an awesome $3,500.
Yeah,
I got
a question for you though.
Yeah.
How good is it though?
I don't know.
How good could that be? How good are the pit bikes?
Comparatively speaking,
They're
price
good for
wise,
about a month.
that's true.
Yeah, but you tend to beat on the pit bikes.
You tend to beat on the pit
You're
bikes.
just cruising that thing around though. That might be a good.
How far are you? Then we'll get into this is another one of your pet peeves. This is a 250cc street bike.
Well, yeah, but it's like dirt bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of them are though.
It has the look. It has the right price for me. If it somewhat performs.
How long does it take to get from 0 to 60?
I don't know. Maybe someone will let us test one.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
I'd test it.
And then we've got the, so I actually called 2 dealerships to try and find out pricing on this.
Did you really?
Yeah, none of them knew. And they said they're already sold out. There's 500 of these Ducati. This is the Ducati Superleggera V4.
Superleggera.
Superleggera. That is Italian for you can't touch it, I think. If you have to, I think the guys that I called, so the Ducati 2022, there's 500 being made. They're sold out. Called 2 dealerships, couldn't get any pricing. No doubt, I think that's a beautiful bike.
I do.
I don't think I could ever ride it.
No, I'd be too scared.
Yeah, it's probably got a dry clutch too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 500 being made. Nobody hasn't been test rode, and people are just buying them to put them somewhere.
Yeah. The single swing arm is, I like that.
I love
these street bikes that have those single swing arms.
Well, it's got all sorts of ducting and everything up the front. I mean, it is.
The lines of it look good.
It is fancy. It is a fancy looking bike.
What do you think of the back fender?
What back fender?
There's 2 of them in there.
Apparently.
Is it down low or up high?
This
or
is
that just the seat.
This is all the 500 being made are married men because they're not going out and trying to get dates with it, because there's not only that, there's 0 place for anybody else to sit. I can't, and looking at the seat now, I can't imagine it's a comfortable bike. I would assume you're buying that to do a track day, but
Probably.
these Ducatis, they're going for 40 grand.
That's insane.
And I feel like track days, you're just going out there to see how close you can get to dumping it over.
Yeah.
So, actually, I should say that.
buddies.
It's all better riders than I'll ever be.
Yeah, prove to your buddies you're half a second faster.
Yeah. It's a beautiful, I think it's a beautiful bike.
Yeah,
but
it's nice.
it's too nice for me.
Yeah.
I'm lowbrow. Go back to that $3,500 SSR XF 250. I'll take that to the track.
Yeah.
That's about as much as I can commit to that.
Do wheelie contest with that guy.
You got to think, people are buying leathers to ride this bike that are way more than that SSR that we just looked at.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so
You gotta have the gear.
you gotta have the gear. All right, so this is
This is the moment you've been waiting for.
I know, best mini bikes. We have talked about this
It's a debate.
nonstop. It's a debate. First of all, is it best? I put on here best mini bike, best pit bike. What are we talking about?
Yeah, what makes a mini bike?
What makes a mini bike a mini bike? Because we could go into XR80s, right? Honda XR80s, probably one of the most bulletproof bikes out there, as one of the best mini bikes. But is it a mini bike? And
I think it's too big.
I tend to agree with it.
I think my rule of thumb is mini bikes shouldn't have a clutch.
That's a good point. So anybody can jump on one.
Yeah, so
and
anyone
go.
could ride it.
You know what I picture an XR80? Same thing with an XR100. They're like, I almost want to say it's like a farm bike. You can put that thing on a farm, never change the oil, and go herding cattle with it.
Go forever.
Yeah. If I'm
They're bulletproof.
in Australia, I would imagine there's a bazillion of them somewhere. You know, that's what they have
Yeah,
in
they're
farms. I don't know if that's true.
They're kids bikes, but these are mini bikes. This is smaller wheel.
That's
no,
right.
No clutch.
So we, Brady and I
Engine
put
size
together
is-
a list, not knowing what the other person was going to have on here. Put together a list so we could talk about what we think are the best mini bikes. And I started off with an easy one.
Well, yeah.
I started off with
That's
the PW50. The things have been unchanged since. I mean, I wrote down a note here. They've been. I looked it up actually. They get PW50 in the current form like that. They minor tweaks. 1981 is when they came out. So we're going on 40 years
Yeah, that's
of
insane.
I was making fun of you for the KTM 500 when they're going to redesign it. Maybe they don't. That
Maybe,
bike.
yeah.
That bike is how many kids? So I also looked up people that have started on PW50. Ryan Sipes, your favorite
Yeah.
rider of all time.
I love that guy.
Chad
The
Reed,
general.
James Stewart, all these guys have taken stuff to Loretta Lynn's and raced on PW. Maybe not Chad Reed, but Loretta. But there's pictures of like James Stewart. and all these guys get their start on
They're all
on PW50s. Now, for pit bikes, so mini bikes, this I would say is one of the ultimate beginner mini bikes,
Oh
right?
yeah, and that's why
But-
they keep making it.
But it performs horribly as a pit bike. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't translate. There's some of these bikes on here that, now not saying that we don't sit on them and ride them around,
Right.
but it is not a big. This is a full-on little person
It's
bike.
made for kids.
Yeah, and
I get on that thing.
Yeah.
And
two-stroke,
I'm all
oil
over the place.
injection. You know, it's got the little run switch. My daughter started off on it when she was, before 3.
Yeah.
She was on it, and it's just easy. You can throttle them down. You've got the little adjuster on
Yeah,
it.
the throttle stop.
Throttle stop, which they also in the exhaust. There's a little washer in there that you can pull out. You can hop them up and everything else. But one thing I will say about the throttle stop makes it so they can't accelerate too quick. That thing will basically get up to top speed. It just takes a long time. So
Oh.
just beware of that. I found out in a big open field that they could, even with the throttle stop turned way down, they could still outrun you on that. So
I bet.
anyway, that's one of my ultimate bikes. Your daughter's, you just had a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna try and find a PW?
I think I know where one's at.
It's right behind us.
It's right behind me.
Yeah. All right, go.
Yeah,
This
there
is
we
one of
go.
yours, right?
The CT70 is just sweet. That's a 1970. It's green. I do like the green and the blue a lot more than the yellow and
Yeah,
red.
Honda
A lot
really
more.
had. They really had that candy coating or
Yeah.
the sparkly paints and everything else for a while. I made a note about, because you put this on here.
I think it's just a good looking bike, and it's a mini bike. It's 70 cc's, no clutch, but it's made for like adults.
Yeah,
So it's comfortable to ride. It's not like the PW50.
yeah, that's
where
exactly.
Your knees are all.
I actually have behind us here a QA50, and it's similar. Like you can't. They knew what they were doing,
Yeah.
making it for adults, and so this actually that one has the handlebars that fold down, so you can actually stow it away.
Yeah.
Even better. One thing that bothers me, and we can have a whole show about this with Honda. I feel like Honda back in the 70s, they were all about having fun and releasing their bikes to go have fun with.
Oh,
This
yeah, that was their
bike screams fun,
Yeah.
you know? And I guess now that they're trying to, basically, they don't know what they're doing now. They're trying to re-release bikes that look like
yeah,
this.
That look like this.
It's like they knew what they were doing then, and I think they really grew their base
Yeah.
with that. So, cool
Yeah,
bike.
like I think you can still get them like street legal and stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, like living.
I would love that.
Buddies down the road, you can just cruise the back roads. They only do like 35, 40.
Why don't
Maybe.
I think they're a 3-speed, right? Too?
Yeah.
The 3-speed automatic.
Yeah.
Why don't we have some of those?
I don't know. We should.
I don't-
We should.
That is
And
a cool
lot of them too have the high-low gear. that
Oh
you can
yeah, that's
switch
right.
On the motor.
Yeah, I used to have I had a trail 90, and it was one of the early, late 60s ones, so it was an earlier one, and it actually had a sprocket within a sprocket. So it was a smaller sprocket, and then there was a 2-piece sprocket that went around the outside with bolts that held it on, and the chain had 2 master links, so you could break the chain so that it didn't have the high-low gears
So
transmission. Had to, so if you're out on the trails, you put on the sprocket and lengthen the chain.
That's
then-
crazy.
Couldn't get away with that nowadays, but then
No.
then in town you could take the sprocket apart, the 2-piece sprocket, and then have the smaller one. It was a genius idea.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I like the Trail 90s too, but those ones to me look more kind of like scooterish, not like a dirt bike.
yeah, that's
They're
true.
a little more on the scooter side.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's
Step,
why-
because they're step through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why I went with this one, and that green is just money. I like
love
the
it.
green.
I love it. That is a fan. And that is the opposite of the PW50, where the PW50 is a great mini bike but not a great pit bike.
No.
This one is a great pit bike.
Oh yeah.
So, not too many kids. Well, I think there's old. Isn't it at the start of on any Sunday? Isn't like Rick Johnson or Ricky Johnson?
Is Jeff Ward.
Jeff Ward. He's
Yeah.
wheeling one of these, or is it similar to?
Oh, we should
have done some research with that one.
I know it's Jeff Ward though. And
yeah, I do too.
He was. I think he might have been on a bicycle even jumping.
He was. Well, there was definitely the bicycle at the beginning, but there's. If somebody knows how to edit this,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we do. We'll be able to put a picture up there.
Boom.
The Honda Z50. Z50. That motor is still being cranked out today.
Oh yeah.
But so this is 3-speed Honda. So I brought up a picture of a 91 because I have a 91. So yeah, right behind there. Actually, it's funny. On most of my bikes here, I have one of the mini bikes just because I think they're the best. So
that's why we're talking.
That's why we're talking about them. So this is what started the Fast 50 revolution. This started the mini bike revolution. This started the pit bike revolution. I remember watching a video called, I think it was called Fast 50s, and guys are doing 360s. They're doing the bicycle jumps, all the jumps on these things. That bike is bulletproof.
Yeah.
The motor's bulletproof. I don't know about the whole bike, but
yeah, that motor went from what, the Z to the XRs.
Yeah.
To the CRF.
Changed
They
slightly. Every the Chinese pit bikes, they knocked off of this motor.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
it is
everything. And it looks the exact same.
you can hop it up. I mean, you can buy cams and big
yeah.
bores, and you can change it to automatic clutch or from automatic to manual clutches. There's just so much you can put big bars on them. I love the Z. I think it's a timeless look. It's got the dual rear shocks, and actually, being a yard guy too, those big balloon tires. Granted, they are a pain to change because they're a two-piece wheel.
You just did that.
I had to do it. Yeah, they had
a new rear.
Had new. Well, I had two flats, so I had to do both tubes on it, and it was not fun to do at all. But it is great on the grass too. And I will say this one, now that we're talking about the pit and mini bike thing, in the current state, it is very hard for an adult to sit on it and ride. The handlebars are low.
Super low.
Hit your knees. My daughter's 9 though. She loves to jump on it and take off, and it fits. It's fast, very simple to ride. Very cool bikes.
Well, and the thing about the Z, I remember seeing them for the first time. So they're cool.
Yeah.
You wanted one.
Yeah.
I wanted one.
Everybody, yeah. And I finally got one. So
yeah, you did.
Yeah, kind of a funny story. That's for a whole nother time, but kind of a funny story on that. So the next one here, you threw me through a loop when you put this on here.
Yeah, I like that.
So what is that, Brady?
That is the KTM, the E50, the electric 50 bike.
That is. So that's the one that they don't raise. So in Supercross, they used to do.
They still do it.
Well, they still do. They have mini bike race. KTM sponsor, which is a great thing. KTM sponsors in between the races. There's a mini bike race, and the kids get to go out and rip around on KTM's. I don't know when they probably changed in the last 3 years or 4 years. Now they're racing the electric ones, right?
Yeah, and they just had there was at Loretta's last year was the first year of an all electric race.
Yeah.
And it was so that kid that won will go down in history forever. He's
true.
The first one to win a championship at Loretta's on an electric bike. Granted, it is 50. It's not.
Yeah, but still.
I
mean, this is the way we're going.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, and this looks like a dirt bike, so kids like it.
Yeah.
I haven't ridden one personally, so I don't know how they.
I
would imagine they're good.
Yeah, I would imagine they're good too.
But it gets kids into the sport.
I got a question.
Small backyard.
I got a question for you with this.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about the Z50, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking about the evolution, and Honda's kind of, I feel like, missed they're missing missing that entry level point right now. What if you had something similar to like that Honda Z50, but with an electric motor. So then your kid could go out and rip, because I can't have my kid rip around in the yard with that. Quiet-wise, it could
tear your yard up.
tear it up, and the kid is not going to be able to go down the block and everything else and go ripping around, right? But if you had that motor, like a little electric motor, and like a frame, like a Z50 or any other mini bike chassis, can you imagine how much fun that probably exists? I don't even know what I'm saying. So all you got to do is get on Amazon and could probably find that. But
this is like the best mini bike. I don't want to say this is the best, but I like where this one is going.
yeah, I agree.
I like it what it does for kids. If it's electric, it doesn't make noise. You know, KTM's not putting out stuff that they don't like. It's got to be good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And not only that, think about, well, I don't know for sure, but being mini bike dads and everything else, which we're not, almost thank goodness, but
yeah, it's intense.
the maintenance, you don't have to do oil changes. You don't have to worry about, you don't have to pre-mix. You don't have to, you're showing up for the races with your Jenny and you have that thing plugged in and it's ready to go. Do you know how long that they last on a charge at all? I don't have any idea.
I should have looked that up.
Couple motos, but it's you don't have to worry about top ends and you don't have to worry about
none of that.
None of that, and not only that,
Move
I think with kids racing, you don't have to worry about dad. I guess this is kind of I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but some dads that have more money than other dads, that happens, and that can hop up their little 50s, and all of a sudden, where these are all the same, and kids are just going out there having fun battling with similar bikes. I think that's kind of a cool concept and neat idea.
Well, and these two also have like you're saying, the throttle control on the PW.
Oh, do they?
It doesn't have the throttle control, but it has different levels, 1, 2, and 3 of like.
So it's like a map.
How the motor works. So you can put it on level 1.
That's very cool.
It tames it down, and then when you're going racing, crank that thing up to 3, and you're.
That's very cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that has 3 different levels of like power for the motor.
Full suspension, suspension, and it looks like
a dirt bike.
It looks like a big bike.
If you put that next to like a 22, 250, that the
it looks
the exact same.
It looks cool. I think it looks awesome.
Boom.
All right, so this is another controversial one, and maybe this is the wrong picture to put up here, but I put up here. It's basically so it's kind of a combination, and what I'm showing a picture of is this happens to be
the doodle bug.
It looks like a doodle bug. It's a Coleman mini bike, right? It's got racks on the front and back. It's big balloon tires. It's got a like probably a Briggs and Stratton or a lawnmower type engine in it.
Oh yeah.
These things I put on here because there was a time where I wanted to call it Chinese mini bikes, but I don't even necessarily know that they're from China. But
I don't think they are.
There was about 15 years ago, you could go to any auto parts store and roll out the door with these and similar, the SSRs.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the SSR. There was I think Pit Star. And there was about a bazillion different.
You can pick them up at AutoZone.
Yeah, you can pick them up. You could go be like, hey, I want a mini bike. Go to AutoZone and be rolling out with mini bikes. These things were like $300 to $600, and how many people, they didn't have to go down to the dealership, which going to a dealership, high pressure, and there's generally not anything for a couple $100 there, right? So.
On 2 wheels?
Yeah, so you can actually go there, throw these on the back of your trailer or whatever else, and go ride at the campsites and have the experience of riding a mini bike or pit bike and just enjoy it. And I think that's one of the things that is missing these days. You go into a motorcycle dealership and you're not just getting you got generally higher pressure sales because they're obviously trying to make money there, but this is bringing the masses to the people, and that's what I enjoy.
It's simple.
It is. It's very pull start and go.
Yeah, it's not flashy.
Yeah. And if and when it breaks down and ruins, and this is unfortunately, you go get another one. I mean you sell this, you put it on on one of the selling sites for $150 says does not run, come grab it. Somebody will always come buy it.
Fix it. Yeah.
You or me.
Yeah.
If that's on there for $150,
that's us.
we're going to get it.
Yeah.
And I think that the Chinese mini bikes and everything else, and these bikes get a bad name, especially from the riders. You know, the people that are you know, I would go buy one of these new, and I'd be like, if my wife came home with it, I would still ride it. I would love to ride it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give somebody a hard time for riding it.
Yeah. I think back in high school, I would have called those lame.
Yeah, I would too. But man,
now
could
it's
you
like,
imagine
you
if
just
six
cruise
of our
around.
buddies had one of those?
Which, yeah.
Well, and why don't we have some of these?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know either.
We need CT70s and a couple of those.
Yeah,
We could
it
do
sounds
this-
like broken ankles.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and maybe a welder for when we jump it and break it.
Yeah. You're gonna need a welder probably for that thing, but yeah, you just.
All right.
That's another little like a farm bike.
I feel like yours is next one is somewhat on the same pace as this. Granted, we talked about $300, and this thing's probably getting on the close. This is as much as a full size bike. So you got this is one of the earlier BBR aluminum frame.
Yeah, it's 2005 Ricky Carmichael edition, and so I put this in, even though I broke my own rule of like what a mini bike is.
What do you mean?
Because this has a clutch.
Oh yeah.
But it's hard to.
But to be fair, it came stock.
Yeah.
It's a DRZ 110. It's
Yeah.
the most modified DRZ 110 probably in the
that's
world,
ever
right?
been built, I'm
Yeah.
sure. But this, like, I wanted to put that bike in there because when you think of best mini bike or pit bike, like that is a pit bike, and that like jump started this whole craze.
It went from
Everyone wanted-
Z50.
Yeah, everyone's like, just gotta get something small. Get a Z50 or get a a DR70 or an XR or a CRF, and everyone wanted to get those bikes and modify them because BBR came out and did that for Ricky Carmichael.
I knew people that didn't have full size bikes and had these things.
Yeah,
You
one
know?
of my buddy's old bosses when he worked at the dealership, he didn't even buy a bike.
Yeah.
He bought parts to build his bike. It cost him like 15 grand.
Yeah, I mean that's
For a mini bike.
yeah.
125cc little DRZ XR looking motor.
Where there was such a big craze, 10, 15 years ago for these. Where are all these things now?
See, that's the thing. That's like this started this huge. I mean,
there's gotta be-
there's pit bike races in like Vegas and stuff.
Carson
They
Brown
make,
with BBR. I feel like BBR's kind of made a resurgence, but back in the day, so
You could get frames, you could get swing arms.
well, we're gonna end up talking about some of this later on, but they 4-strokes were a novelty, right? And these were being built
That's good.
before. It is good looking. These were being
It's
built
not
before.
bad.
This was when 2-strokes still ruled the world.
Yeah.
This was those 110s, man. They're so cool.
When I remember seeing that bike in the dealership, it was on the stand, had lights on it, and right next to it was the 05 Ricky Carmichael edition bike,
Yeah.
RM250.
Such a cool
it was
bike.
right next to each other.
Yeah. God, what happened to Suzuki?
I don't know. Yeah, where's Suzuki?
This one we'll just kind of
No one knows.
hit upon. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Are they showing up?
No.
Are they? So this the reason I put this on here. This is an early models KTM, early 2000s, and the reason why I put this on here is the same thing. This bike before this there was LEM and Cobras, and there was a mini bike class where anything there was PW50s and then versus these Cobra and LEMs, which they still make bikes, which I did not know. They had, and they still have like this. They had the solid wheels and things like that, and they look like it looked like a chainsaw motor in there, and the bikes looked bulky and didn't really look like they looked like a mini bike, but didn't look like this. So this is an early KTM 50, and when these things came out, man, they looked like a full size bike, and I think they changed the mini bike game. Like overnight, all of a sudden you realized like. Really, there's the KX65 or KX60.
Yeah.
And that had like a radiator shroud on the side, and didn't quite look like a full size bike. This looked like a full size bike. You could park it next to it. You could go down and park it next to it, get your KTM, which at the time wasn't a very good bike anyway.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
this came out and really started building the base, and then so every kid had to have this, and I think that's what kicked off the rest of KTM. You know, they built their built their entry level base, and this thing, they're so cool looking.
Well, and that thing's a racer. I have one of these.
I've yet to see it.
I know because
No,
my buddy wanted to borrow it for his nephew to ride at his house.
Yeah, you ever
And
seen
he
it
was
again?
just in the shed. I'm like, sure. I think he's had it for like over a year, but my girls aren't ready to ride that thing yet because it's fast.
Yeah,
That thing moves.
yeah. That's a
It's
cool.
I mean, it's got 2 radiators. It's gonna look just like a normal bike.
Yeah, that's a cool looking bike. I
And
think those are the
that's
same
like
forks that were on my '99 KTM 125.
125.
Worst bike ever. That's not true. Great motor. Everything else.
This thing has like the same kind of like look as that e-bike too. Like,
Yeah, agreed.
That
I mean,
looks-
they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing that
yeah,
way.
for the time that looked, I mean, that's a what, an 05 or 6 or 7-ish.
I don't know. Well, it's air cooled, so I think it's actually earlier than that. But it was. These
Yeah,
were
that
like
looks
they're
just like
Ford
the 252
kickers.
stroke.
Yeah, it's a very cool bike. And
And the
then
kids raced them. Oh yeah.
I mean, then you gotta have the XR50, CRF50, XR50.
CRF XR.
So those of you that
That's-
don't know, went from the Z50 to this, and once this came out, it was game over. There, you can buy a big bike handle. This is great for entry level for kids, and then the aftermarket world is so big for this thing.
Oh yeah.
Matter of fact, this is what the Chinese, when we were talking about Chinese spit bikes, this is, that's why I had a picture of the doodle bug on there, because there's so many variations of these that look so similar to the Chinese pit bikes, but they are bulletproof, they're great. Literally, a kid, you can have this from a kid being 3, I think they're probably a little advanced for the real early ones, because
Yeah,
they're 3
like
speed.
the PW is just 1 speed.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that has the shifter and all that, but so
Yeah.
it's a little more advanced, but dude, those things are bulletproof too. I mean, it's on.
They're so good.
I have one.
Yeah, you
I
can
have a
literally have it
2000.
from the kid is 3 to the rest of the life, because you can keep on changing it and adding stuff. Parts are literally, you can go to any store and get parts
Yeah.
for these things.
Or
Like I feel like
online.
you could go to Walmart and they might have parts.
eBay.
eBay Motors.
I got a lot of eBay parts.
eBay parts. Yeah, they're such a cool bike. And then
I love it. I take it.
I
everywhere.
think we couldn't have a best mini bike without one of these in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
You could
it's
say the Z50 is
Z-
kind of the same bike,
yeah, for sure.
but
This was the next evolution. I remember when that came out, and I was blown away with what they did. I was bummed that the Z was gone. I remember as soon as these came out, you couldn't give Z50s away, because nobody.
No.
That looked ancient. This looked modern. It was great. Should have bought a lot of Z50s back then.
Yeah. But this bike is just.
Yeah.
I love it.
is
It's in the back of my truck right
that
now.
is the mini bike.
Yeah, I take it everywhere too.
That is-
in-laws, little cabin, go cruise around, and my bike's so old and it probably needs a wash out, but
That is the mini bike.
no choke, 1 kick, fires up every time and just goes.
All right, so I'm doing a controversial one.
Okay.
Ah, the Ruckus. And the-
Do you?
I just bought one. That's what I bought yesterday. So
Last
I bought a
night?
Honda Ruckus, and we'll go past this fairly quickly. We're mainly focused on dirt. This one, it's not a great mini bike, but it is a great pit bike. This to me has the same vibe as the CT70, where you can rip it down to the store, throw something under the seat, and come back, and it just. This bike, when Honda released it, screamed fun. They tried doing the big Ruckus,
Yeah,
which
they did, didn't they?
didn't look good.
Yeah,
It
I
didn't have the
forgot
same.
about that.
Didn't have the same vibe. These things. The bad thing about this, hold their value extremely well. They're tough for an entry level. You can't find them for a couple $100. You got to spend a couple thousand on them. But you can take them.
Unless you're you.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can take them. You can take them to the campsite. You can take them to the motocross track and ride around. Big, nice, fluffy tires. But then you can go. There is a giant Japanese craze, and America. It's in America now, where you can stretch them out, and it's just they've gone everywhere with them.
I was amazed when you brought yours over how the motor works.
Yeah,
It's a liquid cooled.
it's a liquid cooled 50cc four-stroke.
50cc.
Yeah, and it's
what?
yeah. Usually Hondas, everything else were they're the air cooled and everything else. Put liquid cooling in there. I think they'll last forever. It's just a Honda.
Yeah.
So
I like that. I like the white and the black.
I think, and then they had a camel. They had some pretty cool colors.
Yeah, they did. They had
Yeah,
camo.
they had some cool colors. Mine does not look anything like this. I got mine cheap because somebody hacked it up. So maybe that'll be a side story here. But,
Yeah.
Brady, talk about the CRF 110.
That is the 2022 CRF 110 fuel injected. How do you
I don't know.
injected mini bike?
I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah, electric start, right?
Yeah, electric start.
Electric start.
I
This
mean,
is
it's
definitely not mini bikes when we were growing.
no. This is a game changer. I mean,
there'd be days I'd be like, hey guys, I'm going riding on my mini bike, and when I was growing up, and I couldn't get it started,
Yeah,
so we just didn't go.
yeah.
This doesn't happen anymore.
No, it doesn't happen. You could put that.
And do they even have a Kickstarter?
No, I don't think it does.
Okay,
Electric
crazy.
start.
This is the funny thing about this is I feel like Honda. So there was the DRZ KLX 110s that were released 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Honda is
didn't really have
12 years late. They had the XR70, CRF 70, which looked
Yeah.
similar to them, but it just wasn't the same.
No.
So this is a very cool bike, and they're in the X Games now. There's a 110 class.
Yeah, I watched some of that.
Yeah, was it any good?
It's entertaining.
Yeah.
But you see videos like that of guys on this bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a little suspension going on, a little souped up
Yeah.
stuff. But
I would like to have one of these. I can't afford one right now. So they're cool bikes.
no. And that looks just like, same thing like what KTM did. That looks just like
Yeah.
the 450
Yep.
for 2022.
Yeah,
There's
this
a
is
little bit of blue
and
in
this
there.
is the similar to the XR50 that we just
Yeah,
showed.
they're all kind of
Well,
all kind of close to the same.
Well, one of the things about this, this can grow with your kid, right?
Yeah.
You can buy this, and this one actually, out of all of the ones that are, we said some are mini bike, some are pit bike. This is probably the one that is the closest that it could be both.
Yeah.
Your kid can go race this in some of the classes, and you can rip this around the pits, and it'll carry around
Oh yeah.
just fine.
Yeah, I haven't ridden one, but I would like to.
I would too.
I would like to see how that power is.
So we're about done with the mini bike pit bike thing. You know what I would like to say the common theme about this is? Honda.
I know. I knew you were gonna say.
It's true.
How many Hondas did we just have in that list?
I had
We had
one,
two KTMs.
two. I guess I only had two. You had two. You had two. I had two. So we had three.
I had three out of
What
my
was the
five.
other? So you had
The
the
CR, the
110,
110,
70.
the CT70, and the XR.
Yeah. So we had five out of the 10 were Hondas.
Yeah.
So, and two were KTMs.
And we didn't even put the QA in there.
I know. I got a soft spot for QA50. Okay.
Good looking bike.
Dream bikes. What does it mean for a dream bike?
Something that you want, that you can't normally afford or build or
Ah,
time
yeah.
to make.
That's why your dream bikes confuse me so much.
I know. I went way off the.
What is this dream bike?
That is just.
So I asked. I said, okay, let's come up with a list for dream bikes. Let's do 2 street bikes, 2 dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And what did you send me?
I sent you.
You sent me 4 dirt bikes. That's what you did.
That's a flat tracker. That's Café style
TT500.
TT500.
Yeah.
I just
Full
like-
on.
Café.
Wasn't the TT a dirt bike?
Yeah, it was.
There was the X. There was the
There's
TT, XT, and
the ST,
SR. I think it was SR.
maybe.
Nobody knows. Somebody knows.
But look at that motor.
No, it is a beautiful bike, and I've had a couple TT500s.
I
They
know.
are very cool. I've vintage raced them. They're very cool bikes. I personally love street tracker looks.
Like this.
Well, I like it when when it's a true street, like, granted, that is more functional because it's got a front brake and things like that, right? Like, it's a cool, that to me is a very, very functional street tracker. It looks like a flat tracker. I like it a little bit more when they put number plates and stuff on them. And,
Yeah, I wouldn't.
but to me, that is,
It's
I
fun.
was going to give you a hard time for it. I agree. I would love to have one of those.
I just want to take that on the road, on
I know.
a windy road,
I-
to see how it handles. Because I mean,
So much fun. If you can get it started. That is the notorious thing about a 500 is you have to know how to start those things.
Yeah.
They are tough to start.
you're not starting with your Crocs on.
No, don't
Flip-flops.
do that. You got to get around on the compression stroke and go down. But it is.
That just looks.
It looks a beautiful bike. Yeah. So street tracker wise, I would also take. I would take it about just about any motor and a decent looking street tracker.
Yeah.
As well. I mean that is a tough bike to beat. I think what you wanted to do is put a TT 500 in here, and figured out how to put it in your street bike side category. That's what I think.
Well, that's kind of what I did.
I know you did a great job. No, it looks great.
Yeah. You went way off.
Well,
for me.
when I think
Way
when I think
off.
of a dream bike, this is a bike that I can't get. So all my bike, I have one. I don't know if it's even obtainable. So for me, so this bike is the Britten V1000, and this is a bike made by John Britten, which I passed away with cancer, I believe. And don't fact check me on any of this, or any of us on any of this. But this bike went down and raced in Daytona, Battle of the Twins. And if you go on YouTube, there's a great documentary about this. And he hand cast all of the motor. He designed all of it. Carbon fiber before carbon fiber was a thing. Went down there, beat all the big companies, all the big brands. In between races, there became a crack in like the cylinder wall. He took it apart, recast portions of it, brazed it,
Jeez.
fixed the water jacket of it. Like the amount of, I just respect the amount of engineering that went. You know, he was one of the guys in the wind tunnel getting. You know, that's why it looks the way that it does. It's a cool bike.
It is.
It's in a museum, I believe, somewhere. It's a bike that I wouldn't even be, if somebody gave it to me, I wouldn't be able to take it. Like, they're like, all right, yeah, we'll give it to you. I'd be like, to sit in my little shop wouldn't do it justice at all. So,
No.
this bike deserves to be in a museum. You wouldn't even be able to ride it. I would sit there, you know, so I'm guilty for this, my 070125. I'm building that bike the way that I want to build a bike, which is costing me a lot of time and a lot of money.
A lot of money.
And then sometimes I just go in my little shop and stare at it, and that's what this would be. Is I
Yeah.
get to stare at it. Do I think it's the world's most beautiful bike? No, I don't. That Superleggera that we looked at earlier is probably prettier than this bike. Not even probably. That flat tracker that street tracker, I think, is probably prettier than this bike. But just the respect for all the engineering going into it is huge.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's one of my dream bikes. If somebody wants to give it to me, they can give it to me. But
And then you wouldn't take it.
I can take it. So this is you sent me a bike next to a shed. What is this? This is
I was having a hard time.
with your dream bikes
Yeah.
because you already have all your dream bikes.
I have one of them. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
I had a hard time, and I was starting to think about other times that I've been riding.
What is this bike anyway?
That is a 72 or 73 Husqvarna CR 390.
I think you got to be careful about that.
Yeah,
'Cause
I was really making sure that I said it right because I know someone's.
No, I think it's 390 CR.
It's the 390 CR.
I think that's what people. I've been on forums and people put these
They're
things
gonna
up for
nitpick
sale
it
and
for
just lay into people.
Yeah,
That's
they made the CR and the OR.
So you brought this up. It is a cool bike. So
Yeah, so I was trying to think of dream bikes, and I did a a vintage race at the Desert 100, and
What
I
is the
raced-
Desert 100?
The Desert 100 is, what is the Desert 100?
Yeah, so it's a 100-mile
100-mile desert race. Do two
in Washington State.
Yeah, Washington
Cool,
State.
cool race.
One of the biggest.
Is it the biggest
It's
desert? Current biggest? It can't be the biggest desert one, but
I
maybe
think
in the
it
States.
is.
I don't know.
I think it is.
Do you have any idea how many people raced in that race?
I think, well, the COVID shut it down the last 2 years, but I think the last time it was over 1,200 people.
That's a
That
lot.
raced the race.
Yeah, that's a lot of
A
people.
lot of categories, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I was having a tough time, and I remembered
So
the time
there,
that I rode that bike in the desert, and I think I had a
so
smile
there's
on
the
my
CR and the
face.
WR, the wide ratio.
The OR.
Is that right? We're gonna
Yeah.
fact check you. On
Yeah,
that.
it's an OR.
All right. I
Look it up.
I believe you.
But I had a smile on my face the whole time that
Yeah.
I was riding that bike, and I just kind of like, I was.
You know, this goes on to
pick
the
one, but
whole thing too, and we can talk about that. I like racing vintage bikes, and I feel like the expectation is just lower,
yeah,
so you're having fun.
yeah. I mean,
There's zero way you're gonna win the entire race with that.
Well,
right?
no, I was in vintage class. I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna no.
But I mean,
Trying
it's
to
just
survive. Basically.
yeah, trying to make sure that the bike makes it to the end.
Yeah, and I had a buddy that had, dude, he has like 20 Husqvarnas, and we
Yeah.
got talking one day, and he goes, I have one bike that I'm not gonna ride because the forks. Look at those forks. He's like, I can't get on that bike. It's too tall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, maybe we should build that thing up and get it running, and then I'll race it in the Desert 100.
And he
And he
did.
was all in. I went over to that guy's house almost every day after work. We had that thing down to the motor and the frame, and he taught me something that you could do, the tinfoil frame paint technique.
What's that?
It's kind of an old guy.
What is this?
We got it down to the motor, and the swing arm was off, and he wanted to paint the frame. So, and he's a painter. So he's got all the right tools and stuff, but he's like, oh, just leave the motor in. So he grabbed tinfoil and wrapped the motor in tinfoil. And
What
painted
the-
it with the motor
It's
in
like
the
5
bike.
bolts to take the motor
I know,
off.
I know. but we built that thing
Tinfoil
up.
motor tech.
Yeah, we
tinfoil
did
paint
the
technique.
suspension for my weight. We added heavier fluid, and we re-put nitrogen in the shocks, a little extra for
Oh,
me. And that thing actually handled really well
Yeah.
in the desert. And it's a 390 two-stroke. I mean, you
Did
get
you
going
take the
at 6
tinfoil off?
speed, you get going. Yeah, tinfoil was off. the intake hole for the carb is like this big. It's huge. It's bigger than this solo cup. The in boot for the air
Do you
filters.
remember what kind of carbs
Massive.
are on there? Is it like a Del Toro or
It's
yeah.
a Kini, I think.
Okay. Is that how you pronounce it?
Bikini.
I don't know.
Bikini.
Worst motorcycle show ever.
But anyway, I had a great time on that bike, and I always wanted to go back and do the vintage race on a bike. And
Well,
I
can
thought
you
if
buy-
I was going to do it, I want to do it again on a Husqvarna.
Will that guy
Because
sell it to you?
He actually called me 2 years after that and wanted to sell it to me, and he's like, I wanted to call you first, but he wanted a little bit too much money.
Yeah, that is the thing with vintage bikes, man. They are going up in value.
Oh yeah, it was too expensive for me back then, but I would love to just have an old vintage Husky.
So far we've had 2 vintage bikes. Wait, 3 vintage bikes.
Three
TT500.
Yeah.
Everything's old.
The Britten, yeah.
You know, why don't we put a brand new bike on? That Superleggera should be one.
What is this?
The bike that started it all.
Oh.
So this is Mike Young's, Young Gun, you know Young Gun exhaust.
Yeah.
Mike Young's, I don't know if it's Veretemati, it's the GP500. This bike was featured in like one of the magazines because I got like 4 magazines delivered to my house when I was a kid.
I did too.
Yeah, just boxes of them. And this bike came out, and this is when 4-strokes were still a novelty, right? Like, so
Yeah.
95, that was, you know, the reign of 2-strokes. You know, there was, McGrath was, you know, the king of Supercross and everything else. This is not a bike you'd ride in Supercross. This was for MXGP across the pond. But man, so this is the 2 brothers. 2 brothers had this bike, the Veretemati brothers, and it's just the thing is one of those works of art. It's a completely billet aluminum swing arm. I remember seeing that. The thing was that they could quick change transmission depending on what the track was. They could do different cassette transmissions. This ended up, I think they ended up selling out, and this was if you look at the motor and read up on this, this is basically what started KTM's big 4-stroke push. They sold them as VORs to the public. You can still find those. I'd just love to have this bike or a VOR. I would love to have in my stable of old bikes, like an old Cannondale. It's kind of the same thing. So Alberto and Guido Veretemati, the Italian guys, did this. They had, I think, a falling out with Sajiva. Anyway, Tony Blazier writes a great article about it in Classics, which Tony, all of his stuff that he writes is fantastic.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and we're, I'm sure, not doing his article justice by talking about this, but Classic Steel number 31, it is such a good article about this bike.
Are those gold bottom fork too?
Well, yeah, this is all when it was all, I think what it is, Thai nitrate or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's before, it was a big deal, and they were just doing everything they could to compete, and it was, I don't know, I should have looked up what he won or what he didn't win, but I also am a big fan of Mike Young too, so.
Well, that motor is the one that went into KTM's like the early
probably, yeah, they're very tall looking,
Yeah.
Mike Young, he was one of the big early 4-stroke pioneers. There was, Lance Smale. There was the other guys that, did. Lance Smale. He was a local. You have no idea who that is.
I'm trying to think.
Okay.
Hey!
God!
Hey! Dream bike. I have this bike.
Bold new graphics.
Bold new graphics.
Is that a 2022?
No, that's a 2015 KTM 500 EXC. I love my 500.
I know.
I would not trade it for anything. I
I've
won't sell it.
seen you ride that thing on the trails, and you throw that thing around. It's very impressive how you throw that thing around, and like you said, it's bulletproof. It's a cool bike. I give you a hard time for it because
everyone does.
He's like, it's one of my dream bikes. I'm like, it's in your garage. Like,
Yeah.
But lucky for you that you get to own one of your dream bikes. It's very cool.
I watched, a little story about why it is my dream bike. I wasn't going to buy a 2015 300 XCW.
Yeah.
I rode Jake's.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like this bike a lot. Something happened in my life where I felt like I needed a little more adventure, and that was right when Adam Riemann, the Australian, A. Riemann 1, came out with the Moto Nomad series, the first Moto Nomad that he did for him. And
does he still do stuff?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he does. He's done 3 of those Moto Nomads now, and they're all on KTM 500s.
Oh, really?
And this is a 15. The first one he did was a 14 with him and his one buddy, and they drove all around. They filmed it all themselves. They got the bigger tanks. They got, which I have a 5-gallon tank. And they had, the backpacks with all their gear. They had saddlebags, basically, that were on the back. And they just took that bike to so many places, and I watched that video, and that night I'm like, I'm changing my mind, I'm buying a 500.
Yeah.
And the next month, when I went to go to the shop, it was 300 or 500, and I'm like, I'm going with 500.
Yeah, 2015.
I want to take this thing on the road, I want to go explore.
2015, that was probably the 300s, that was when they were first coming out, right? As far as the...
Yeah, I think in like 2000... Well, I mean, they had them in like Cody.
They did, but they weren't counterbalanced and everything else. They were a tougher bike to ride.
They were getting good.
Yeah.
Jake's.
Anyway, that's a cool bike. So that is a 2015 500 EXC.
Yeah.
I always get confused about NXC, XFC.
Yeah, they went through a lot
EXF.
of
There's MX. Yeah.
Well, like the newer ones are the EXC-F, and that happened in.
Why do they put Fs on there? They used to be for 4-strokes all the time. It's like everything's a 4-stroke now.
Yeah, I don't know, but you get and that bike is power to weight ratio 50 to 1. It puts out like 62 horsepower.
Every bike
it's fast.
It's like 300 pounds lighter than my 450 one.
Yeah.
My CRF 450X.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. No, it's a cool bike, and it's been great for you, especially. And,
and riding it in the trails is pretty tricky sometimes, but you get your throttle control. Don't be scared of the
Well, you put a
motor. Use
recluse
it.
on it and everything else too, right?
Yeah, I ended up doing that. I didn't have it for a long time. I had one on my 250F, my Suzuki.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got on this bike, I'm like, this 500 feels more nimble than my RMZ 250.
So I got a question for you.
Yes.
You're talking about the Desert 100. You will probably go if they do that next year.
Oh, yeah.
You have your 300 and you have your 500. What are you going to bring?
I'm gonna bring 500.
You're going to race or ride your 500 over your 300?
Yeah. In the desert where the whoops are about the size of a Volkswagen Beetle.
I don't
and
know.
I'm
How
skipping over-
much more does that weigh than your 300?
I don't know. I think it's got to be in the 20s.
Okay.
I would think 20 pounds maybe. But that thing has just grunt. It has
To
power.
be also,
To get out of
because
those bumps in the desert.
Brady doesn't really do motocross because he has bad timing on jumps.
Yeah, it's not a jumper. Bad timing.
Anyway, we took him to a motocross track on that. Me and my buddy, our buddy Ryan, took him to a motocross track, and he brought the 500, and he did pretty good. It was
Did not do that.
well, you didn't fall down.
No.
I fell down.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You had a little doozy.
All right. So my first two bikes are. So we're doing 4 bikes. Out of the 4, the next bike for me is the most obtainable one, but still isn't obtainable. Like I can't. Yeah. Well, I don't think it's a. There's some going up at an auction every now and again. This is just a mid or early 20s Harley Davidson. I love the mechanical aspect of it. I think it would be cool. I don't want one, actually, that is too nice a condition. I would want a rider where I could take it down and fire it up and go through the priming techniques, and it's probably a complete loss oil system, and it's just very cool. You know, light the lantern in the front to get it going. And, and I just think
it's a cool bike.
That was what a motorcycle looks like. I would love to have, an old AJS or maybe, an Indian, something like that. When they did one of the cool, you've seen the board track race bikes where they had these things stripped down and the guys were going around the wall of death and things like that. It's just, why? Why would you do that?
Yeah, on a bike like that.
On a bike like that,
Yeah.
but it's very cool. If one day I will have something in the early 20s, 1900 to 1930s, I would like to have a bike in that range and just tinker on and ride around. Like look at how the speedometer up at the front there. It's all gear driven and cables and just
there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on there. Cool bike.
Yeah, it is. Okay. I want to.
Another, you could literally, the list Brady gave me
I know
for bikes.
we went way different.
I know, literally the list you gave me for bikes, we could look up on Craigslist, and 10 grand, we could probably go buy everything on there. We could buy a TT 500, we could buy an RM 125, we could buy, what was the other, you already have the 500. What was the other one?
Husqvarna.
And the Husky, yeah, we could. For 10, for a large job, you could go have all of your dream bikes.
I know. You went way further outside the box on this, and I probably should have too. But
what are we looking at here?
The only real reason I want this is
you just want an RM125.
I want to do a build like you're doing.
I know, and
I can't afford it.
We'll post,
but I would like to.
We'll post it, and let's not talk about the money too much on here because I don't want certain people to know what I spent on that. But.
I don't want to know.
I don't either.
No, I do.
So I'll post a picture of the CR on our Instagram.
There you go.
So that way people can see it and mock me.
I mean, honestly, I haven't even ridden a whole lot of 125s. I think I've ridden like 3, and it's not even for that long of a period of time.
Yeah,
they're just fun.
Yeah.
The last one I rode, I was actually on a buddy's track that he had at his house.
Yeah.
And I kind of grew up riding that thing, like never really taking it too seriously, but I'm like, I'm gonna try to hammer this one. And I took it down the track, and I knew the corners, I knew that place, and it was like, I'm having so much fun.
Yeah, I think that's
all this noise and going nowhere, like just bogging up hills, and then you hit the top, and then you just back on the top end. It was sweet, and I think Suzuki's, I kind of soft spot for Suzuki.
Yeah, I know you do.
I think they're better looking than
that,
other 125s.
Honestly, all of the end of the 125s, I think are great. Like the KX, RM, CR, they're just it's going to be one of those things where it's a time, especially us growing up and seeing the end of them.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be one of those timeless things where we're always going to miss it. Like, we're going to miss it. Like, it's. I agree. Those RMs are beautiful.
They're not that bad looking.
Nope.
But I put that on there because if I had the time and the money to like actually build like a motocross bike, I would want to do it on that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
To take the time and go to the 125 Dream Race.
My 125 is taking me. It's going to take me 2 years to build.
Yeah.
And it's just piecing it together, and it's because I don't have the endless supply of cash to do it all at once.
Super cheap.
Super cheap. Anyway, very cool.
Yeah.
Another unobtainable one. If I could have this in my, I would probably like to ride it a couple times, but it is a very, very cool bike. This is Ricky Carmichael's 2002. I think the last real 4-stroke or 2-stroke championship bike before it went to 4 strokes. This is, this is a factory race bike. Like, everything on it's factory. It is a beautiful bike to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
you can't not like that bike. It's sweet.
People do the restyle kits on these bikes and everything else. Leave it the way it is. It is to me. It's a beautiful looking bike. So, yeah, I'll take one of those.
It'd be fun to ride a factory.
I don't even know how hard the power is so hard hitting. I don't know. I wouldn't do it justice. That's for sure. Be like, oh, this motor.
This motor is nice.
Figure out how to make any power out of it. All right, so we're near the end here, but we're gonna go through slick or sucks. So basically, we're gonna go through. Is it cool or not cool? So we're gonna rifle through some things. Anyway, here we go. Slick or sucks. Ready? This is a brand new Honda. I think it's a 125 now, mirrored after the Trail 110s and what we were talking about earlier. Is it cool or not? Down. Yeah,
I don't think so.
I have to agree. Like, well, I got a question. Is the an old one cool?
Yeah, the older ones are cool.
I agree.
That was the era, and this is like
you're spending $6 grand for something that. I mean, that bike isn't.
It has a disc front brake.
What is that bike capable of? That bike's the same thing as buying a Ruckus, zipping it down to the store. Go buy that CT70.
Yeah.
Granted, this is probably a lot more reliable than points and condenser and everything else.
And that thing's probably fuel injected. Is that the same?
Actually, I don't know. But you're
Didn't
probably
go to
right.
that. I bet that is fuel injected.
Yeah, that's
it's probably
true.
the same
Oh,
door body that's on that 110.
You got me almost changed my mind then.
Oh boy. Because you were on the suck side.
I always picture a Trail 90 or 110 on the back of a camper heading out into the woods and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Now, what's the downfall about that? You got carbureted points and a 6 or maybe a small 12-volt battery in those things, right? You're kickstarting them and everything else.
That's an electric start too.
You might just be able to. Now, how much heavier is it? That was one of the benefits before, is those things were lightweight.
Yeah.
I don't know the weight of this. We should maybe next time we'll do a little bit more homework on these. But I didn't know these questions were going to come up either. But that could be the benefit of it, where you throw it on the back of your camper and you take it to your campsite and go rip around. Same thing I'm going to do with my Ruckus.
Yeah.
So I guess I can see the benefit with it. I still think it sucks.
Yeah, I see the benefit of it, but
yeah.
if
you're going to go spend $5 or $6 grand on this thing,
get the CT7.
get the CT7.
Yeah.
At least the cool factor will be there. You might not be able to ride it, but the cool factor will be there.
Yeah.
All right. If I see another guy on an R1 or a GSX-R 600 or a F4i, they don't even make those anymore, but maybe they do, actually. But if I see a guy just riding in one of these,
or even the best one,
I'm going to lose my mind. What is the purpose behind this?
I think it's if you're going out on the trail, you don't have to wear a chest protector.
Is this dirt or street?
I think it's both. It could be. I've seen them for both. I was going more on the dirt side because I know a guy that rides with one of those and he doesn't wear a chest protector and he goes,
Our buddy Eric, is he
No.
riding with one? He would be the type that
We
rides
should
with
ask him.
one. Guaranteed.
Phone a friend.
Yeah, guaranteed he
But
does.
he doesn't have a chest protector on because he always has a backpack, hydrator. You know, it's like he doesn't get it all.
So does he
messed
wear
up.
a gear? Does he wear a jersey over that?
Yeah.
At
So
least
I see that benefit where maybe it would be good, but
you're still a tool.
yeah,
You're still a tool.
yeah.
I mean, first of all, who rides with elbow pads?
I don't know.
Do you?
No,
Okay.
I probably should.
I know. I
do a
that's
lot
what
of
fell on
things.
my elbow, but I just. So we've got two sucks. There was a
Yeah, it sucks.
So
It
that we
sucks.
both agree that the Honda sucks. This thing sucks. I don't see any. If you're gonna ride a street bike with just this, you need to be wearing a jacket anyway. But
Yeah, that's not full leathers. I mean, it's all vented, so it's breathable. So
and they
it's
got the
pretty cool.
spine guard too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say it sucks because people are trying to be safe. I think it just sucks the way
Yeah.
it looks. Which 100% looks. Be safe, ride. But
Yeah, but
that
thing sucks.
do some. Alpenstars, you make a lot of great stuff, and these things probably sell.
Well, I have an A-Star chest protector.
Yeah.
I go ride my dirt bike. It's great.
And that looks great. This, can you, maybe we should just write Alpenstar. Quit making it.
That's
Just
what
stop
is
making
it called? The Bionic jersey?
Yeah, it's like the Bion. They
Bionic
have
jersey.
one that's not full arms and everything else. It's just,
Next.
I'm sure it's made nice.
Oh yeah, it's high quality stuff, but it sucks.
What am I looking at here?
You tell me.
This is the Honda Rune, and I think it was only released like 2 years, and it was when I was still in the motorcycle industry, and I saw these things. The motor's based off of a Goldwing. I think it's the 1800cc motor. They are enormous, and I think Honda just wanted to make something different and show that they could make it. And for me, I think that's cool. They sold for like $25,000 then. I've had my eye out for them. They're still going for like $25K. I think, now this is an enormous motorcycle. I think that this is going to be one of those bikes where in 50 years from now, you're going to look back on it and be like, you can't touch it. Now, is it cool? You don't think so.
I'm on the fence. I don't know. I don't know if that thing's cool.
I think it is. I think it's, now you can definitely tell it's early 2000s because of the tribal paint scheme on these. That I would say is not cool, but they did have some solid colors.
That kind of sucks.
And just Honda does stuff like this so infrequently. I think it's cool. Anyway, that's my selling point. So you can say
In 10 years, is this going to be on your dream bike list?
no.
No?
It won't be. It won't be on my dream bike list mainly because I can't park it anywhere.
Yeah, how long is that? Like 8 feet?
No, it's longer than that. I think it is a long, long bike.
I can appreciate what went in to build something like that.
Yeah, I mean they can't be. They never got their money back out of these. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's such a limited. Could you building that? You got to know that not everybody is going to be going out and riding these, right? Like
Right.
it's just not going to happen. So anyway,
Okay, I'm making my decision.
what do you got?
Well, it's got the double kickstand. For that reason, sucks. You can't even put a normal kickstand on that thing.
I don't know. Actually, I just noticed that. Is that?
Yeah. Sucks.
Yeah.
No.
All right. I'm gonna say it's cool. I didn't notice that. Is that factory or maybe that's for show? I don't know. You're right. I've never noticed that. What size brakes on the front of that thing? You have to. That thing weighs about. My 450 CRF 450 still weighs more than
Probably. Yeah, that thing would probably have like.
250cc street bikes, Brady. What do you think? Sucks.
What's the point of these? I don't get it.
I think it's for entry level people to ride them.
Yeah, but if you're buying a street bike, you gotta at least know how to ride a motorcycle.
So
The
we're looking at
average
this
Joe-
is a picture of obviously a Honda 250.
That's a Kawasaki
EX250. Yeah, I mean a Kawasaki EX250. Everybody's kind of releasing one of these. They redesigned these a couple of years. They used to look way worse. This is actually they look better.
It's a good looking street.
I get it for learning how to ride a street bike and everything else, and you want something that looks like a street bike. This goes back to this thing's $6,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go if you want an entry-level street bike to learn how to ride, go buy that SSR. $3,500,
Yeah,
upright
but
position, and then end up buying a street bike.
But
that looks like a street bike.
who goes to the dealership and says, I don't know how to ride a bike. I want to get a street bike. I want to look cool.
Everybody. And they're probably getting CBR or 600cc. I agree that this is probably better to start off with for those guys, but
How fast does that thing go on the freeway?
I don't know. I've rode one on the freeway before. I've rode a 250 street bike because I was in the motorcycle industry. I test rode, and maybe it was on. It was a 55 mile an hour road. Man, they get blown around. Like they're not. Say you can take them on the freeway, but they're humming, and they are. That's the benefit of a big heavy street bike. They're planted.
Yeah.
This thing moves around. Even your 500 gets blown around,
It
right?
does.
Yeah.
It
So,
does.
but I'm on the same boat
The
with you.
500 goes quicker than that.
I think they suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna be.
This is too close to a street bike look to be cool. Go the opposite way. Get something else. Get that SSR. Decide if you want something. Get comfortable with it. Then buy your street bike. This sucks.
If you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly. Just buy the 1000 and be cool already.
All right. This is the Harley Davidson Pan America, and this thing is a V-twin. We looked at all of those the Triumph that we showed earlier. We were talking about the BMW. How is this going to compare to all this? All right, I'll take it. I think it's going to suck.
Yeah.
Harley Davidsons are cool because they're big V-twin, air-cooled,
Push
rod, just a cool motor. And it's not even that. They don't do everything. Harleys aren't the best. I think we can all agree. Like, there's better technology out there, right?
Yeah, but Harley has its own niche.
But it's its own niche. It's
This is
cool.
not
Like,
niche.
I don't want to go riding up on the bar. I can't go to my local bar on that room.
No.
Like, I can't do it. But I could roll up on any Harley and be just fine.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be good. It's just
I don't
not.
think so.
It's
Yeah,
going to be,
I agree.
Harley's going to make this for 7-8 years, and it's just, they're trying to go outside their scope. And
They don't need to though.
And they don't need to.
What's the advantage for them?
Nothing. All
Just
these
to say that they've done it.
other manufacturers, Japanese bikes can make cruisers, right? There was the VTXs, but the Hondas, there's all the Suzuki M109, like they're cool, badass bikes, but they're not cool. Everybody still ends up buying the Harley.
Yeah.
They sell those bikes to buy the Harley. Nobody's going out wanting to buy this Harley. There's going to be a very niche group of guys. It's the same guys that buy
Well, they're Harley guys, and then one of their buddies has
a BMW.
Kawasaki, or a Kawasaki KLX 650.
Yeah.
They're like, you should actually try riding gravel roads. It's kind of fun. And
Yeah.
Like, well, I got money. Maybe I'll just get the Harley one.
Yeah. It's not going to be cheap. I don't know how much
No,
it's going to be.
God, no.
Guaranteed, it's a comfortable riding position. But if you want a Harley with the comfortable riding positions, all
Get a
of them,
Harley.
yeah, all of them are that way. I mean, it's not going to be any comfortable than an electric glide or any bagger out there, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's upright and everything else, but it's just
I'm sure it's a great motor.
I'm sure it's going to be a
cool.
great bike and everything else. I just don't understand the point of this thing.
No, I don't get where the direction that they're going.
I'm just going to say sucks.
Sucks.
Okay. All right.
Vented front number plates.
Well, this is people probably watching this. If there's anybody younger than 20 years old, they're looking at that and they're like, "What are you even talking about? What is it? Why would you put that on your bike?"
I don't know.
What do you?
I don't
So
know.
I grew up in the era. So this was at the very end of the 125 reel era, and maybe they needed that much more flow. I personally think they're cool because they were on Ricky Carmichael's
Yes,
Kawasaki.
that's the picture.
They were on, well, this is Travis Preston's CR125, which 2002 he won. But all the bikes had them, so I assume you needed that to be the fastest, right?
That's yeah.
So
like Carmichael's one was the number 4,
But
huge number 4, and everywhere else
if they-
around it was vented.
If they made that big of a difference, 1, they'd come out of the factory with it. 2,
Why aren't they?
they'd
around
still
now?
be using them.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a little ploy to get
Yeah.
us all. to get us all to buy those number plates.
Yeah, and that's like that 08 RM125. If I did a build like that, I would want.
Would you?
I would want a vented.
See, I don't. Yeah, I don't
think they're cool.
I don't think I could put it on a current bike. Well, if you think they're that cool, let's do it to your 300.
Has a headlight.
That's a whole nother topic. Are bikes with headlights cool? Dirt bikes with headlights cool? Nope. Anyway, should have put that on here.
Yeah.
All right.
Next
So
week.
that was it. You guys can reach out to us on our IG Slicks Cafe, YouTube Slicks Cafe, or email us and tell us how much we suck at Slicks Motorcycle Cafe at gmail.com. And we assume that we do. We're going to try and edit this a little bit, but not much. So if anybody has any questions or comments, hit us up there. I'll try and throw a picture of my CR125 on the IG. But hit like, click subscribe.
Maybe we need to ask about
What?
ask the viewers of their best mini bike.
Oh yeah,
We
we'd
could
love to hear
recap
it. Yeah,
that next week's show.
yeah, we'll
We
talk.
get
If you post any pictures or send us some links of your mini bikes, I will 100% check them out. Give us some suggestions. We'll talk through some of those, and yeah, and we'll talk. We'll talk next week.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
I was gonna give.
We'll leave that in.